Hi, I'm dating expert Hayley Quinn, and in this important video, I really need to talk to you about dating myths and how they are actively keeping you in a dating rut. You might be like, Hayley, what is a dating myth? Now, a dating myth is an idea that you have about how dating and love should happen that's stopping you getting the real thing in real life. They are dangerous and deadly, and they are everywhere. And the worst thing about dating myths is you might not even realize that you're currently thinking in a way which is keeping them alive. Now, dating myths and the effect that they've had on us, it's not your fault. It's because basically, if you think back to when you were 6 years old, what were we all doing, myself included? We were probably watching Walt Disney movies. I was playing with Barbie, how awful, and thinking about what my dream fantasy wedding would be. You know, I was like, that's weird, isn't it? I was actually planning that at 6 years old, crazy. Then, you know, you get to your early teens and maybe you have your first boyfriend. And I think if we all think back to our first boyfriends, they were not necessarily like the strongest person that we could have potentially selected. But then I'm there thinking, maybe Laurie is the love of my life. No, he's not. You're 13 years old. But the fact that we went into that relationship in our like cute and juvenile way, thinking that that was maybe the one, isn't that telling about a myth that's in our psychology about how we should meet people? Then we go back to maybe, you know, maybe you're in your 20s and you've had your first significant relationship and you know what, it's ended in utter disaster. I've had some really bad disaster endings to relationships, and the part of the heartbreak of that, I think, is when you're looking back and you're like, I was sure he was the one, because all of this stuff happened, like our birthdays were on the same day, and you know, that time where we missed the flight at the same time, but he managed to get that other one, and otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see each other. And, you know, he just knew instinctively, blah, blah, blah. Basically, we have this fixed idea that the one is the one. And then when he's not the one, you're like, what? What happened to my happily ever after? Because you've already begun to psychologically invest and expect a particular outcome to that situation. Now you fast forward a few more years and maybe you haven't met anybody that's really presented themselves in your life, you haven't really felt any spark, you haven't met anybody you were excited by in ages, and you're like, well, this isn't what I was expecting things to be like. Maybe I'm just one of these people that I'm destined to die alone and be eaten by cats. I'm that person. The problem is, this is only a great example of how dating myths have really, you know, I feel quite strongly about this. I think they've really affected our ability to connect to people. They've altered our expectations around romance. They've caused us tons of anxiety to overanalyze the smallest situation and to basically select really bad people often to be our partners. That is because we believe, or we've been taught to believe, that there is some predestined, mystical and amazing time and moment where this person who's preordained to be the love of our life, is incompatible with us in every single way, is going to come and swashbuckle their way into our lives, and it'll be so obvious. Now, the thing is, whilst the spark is definitely important, when we're looking for someone who does have that excitement, romantic spark, swashbuckly beginning, that's amazing, but it doesn't necessarily always line up with someone who's going to be really well suited to us in a longer term capacity. It doesn't mean that that relationship is destined to work and you can coast off of that spark forever. It doesn't even mean that Mr. Swashbuckle is even open to a relationship. Maybe you have an amazing spark and he's just not in that headspace right now. Maybe you're not in that headspace right now. So the problem is, because we have this fixed storyline and roadmap in our minds about how dating is supposed to be, it makes us kind of a bit blinkered and tunnel vision. That then also adds into a problem that women particularly experience, which is that you might feel like there's nothing that you can do or even should do to influence your chances of love. You might think, well, you know, I'm just here to receive what love comes into my life. You know, the guy who is right for me is going to find me. Or as my particular mother would say, cryptically, when it's the right one, he'll find you. Well, that's fantastic. But imagine if you just sat in your apartment. That's a big ask, isn't it, of the one to find you? And I swear to God, if a guy starts knocking on your door, you're going to think he's creepy. So the thing is about luck and being receptive and open to something is you have to also actively take actions yourself to co-create that luck. Luck isn't just something that happens. Okay, some people get very lucky. This is where it gets annoying. I bet you can also think of at least one person in your life who's massively lucked out on the romance front. They did just meet someone, and it was just magical, and it did just happen. That, I think, is the equivalent of winning the romance lottery. It means that they have had good luck, and that's awesome and great for them. You think good for them, but you think, where's my luck? When am I going to get that thing? I've been waiting longer. I've tried harder. What the? Now, the problem is, luck is definitely a thing. It happens in all areas of our life, but it happens by nature in a very random and kind of unfair way. It happens to some people at some times, and then other people not for not a long time, and some people do have misfortune in their life. So if we rely on that stroke of luck and we don't actively put ourselves in a position where, you know, you're learning skills to meet guys, you're really analysing these dating myths, mindsets that are holding you back, you're doing daily practices to make sure you meet more people, you're testing and analysing and becoming more open-minded in terms of who you're going to connect with, you're developing conversation skills to make sure that he knows you like him, to make sure that if you want a second date with him, he's going to really want a second date with you, to make sure that he asks for your phone number, to make sure he's got the right values that you want in a long-term partner. There are so many things that are in your control that if you just go, I'm just here to receive, it's out of my control, you are actively disempowering yourself, and that is not what I want for you. I don't want you to be sitting there relying on a Disney fairy tale and in fact missing out on having a great love life. That doesn't even have to necessarily mean you meet one guy and you fall in happily ever after forever. It just means that you're actually feeling content in yourself, you're feeling strong, you're feeling powerful, you're having great dates, and you're feeling like this area of your life is within your control. If you would like to learn how to scrap the dating myths and bring this back into your control, then please head over to hayleyquinn.com/real love. There's a free ebook there for you about how you can begin conversations with guys, because I think that is an important part of finally discovering how you can begin to take more active opportunities and create your own luck in life, which is definitely the right way to go. So if you want to get that free ebook on me, and there's loads of free videos that I give out as well in my newsletter, please head over to hayleyquinn.com/real love. The link is just going to be beneath this video. So keep busting those dating myths, and I will see you on the other side.